When we talk about the movement of the people, the economists call that there are three kind of movements. The first they say is the flow of trade, that is trading is going on, and especially at that time the main items of trade were cloth and wheat. And if you see in India, they had come for cotton, for selling their cloth when it became a ready-made item to sell. Next is flow of labor. Now, labor requirements were in the plantation, sometimes because the poor country could not afford to give employment to its citizens, so they migrated to another country. So, trade and labor, and lastly the flow of money. You see, the movement of short and long term investment in another country also leads to the movement. Now, once again you must understand that when trading takes place, that leads to movement of people from one country to another. Second is people are moving in search of employment, that is the movement of flow of labor. And lastly, because you feel that another country has a better potential for a particular product, then you go and invest money in that country, maybe for reasons because cheap labor is available or the raw material is cheap, availability of it. So, the economists feel that the change or the movement takes place out of these three factors. This means that the world economy is slowly shaping up. We are looking at a new kind of economy that is being developed. In the ancient time, most of the countries were self-sufficient as far as food is concerned. That is, if you go deep into it, earlier even a village was self-sufficient as far as its food requirements were concerned. And especially a country met all its food requirements from the soil itself. But slowly what was happening in Britain, this was leading to low standards and social conflicts with each other, because the population was growing and not the production. When population was growing and the production was not able to meet the demand, that means there was rise in prices of food grains, and Britain had imposed corn laws. I explained you the corn laws in the terms and concept, that is, there was restriction on getting corns from outside Britain. Now, the people forced that this restriction should be taken back, and this is what exactly happened. There were abolition of the corn laws, and therefore now the corn started coming in, that is, the food requirement was met from outside their country, which means that the food that was coming from outside surprisingly was sold at a cheaper price than what it was grown in Britain and had to be sold. Now, everybody was very happy. You are getting food from outside and then the price is lower than when you actually produce in your homeland. So, people left uncultivated land and they did not grow crops because of the competition also that was coming in, since what came from outside was cheaper. When land was left uncultivated, this led to unemployment. When this led to unemployment, again people are moving to cities for the search of employment. Industrialization had already started in the cities, so they got jobs in the factories, and when they got jobs in the factories, the money that they got was better than what they were earning in their villages. That means that they could afford to buy food stuff. So, this is happening in Britain. Try and understand, the mother of all the countries at that time, that the people are getting food from outside and the people are moving from the rural to the urban areas for employment, getting better money and are able to buy that food stuff. That means the economy has started shaping up. That means now the countries have started becoming interdependent on each other for their food requirements. Now, when this started happening in England or Britain, then the countries of Western Europe, Russia and America and Australia started actually cultivating land, cultivating crops on the land, and they cleared lot of land in order to grow crops. Now, when they are growing crops for selling it outside their country, remember, the motive of growing crops in this country or rather in these countries was now to sell their crops in other countries. That means what is happening, and especially that country is, as I told you, is Britain. That means that they will be needing more land, not only for cultivation but also for railways, laying down of railway tracks, and also will need better ports to sail that, which means the infrastructure improvement will take place, and this will lead to the movement of global agricultural economy. So, the first world economy which has come forward, as we have seen, is that due to the food requirements of Britain, when other countries started growing crops and they wanted to sell it in Britain, leading to the making of railways and better ports, means global agricultural economy into existence, an economy whose base was agriculture. When we talk about this in India, Britain started making West Punjab as their base, and here they started with the making of canal colonies. I told you the meaning of canal colonies, that is, they started irrigating the land there for getting crops that they required. And which were those two crops? Wheat and cotton. So, this was the change that we experienced even in India. So, imagine and just remember that the first global world which has come into existence is the global agricultural economy. I continue with it in the next clipping.